Yeah, I've gotten myself into... Sure. So the question is about the recess policy and how it's been communicated, and is it policy? So I've gotten myself into a whole heap of trouble with this recess thing. What I thought was I made some assumptions about what currently exists, and I assumed that we actually had in policy that recess should not be used as, taking away recess should not be used for disciplinary purposes. And I will be quite honest with you in that the people who I thought were communicating that to the principals didn't, and so then they did the other day. And now the principals are very upset because the message that I was trying to give got obfuscated a little bit. So this is my basic feeling about it. First, it is not a policy, because we don't have a policy in that regard. I cannot think of a good reason why anyone would take away recess as a disciplinary measure unless a child is misbehaving in recess, which is a different sort of common sense issue. I did not know I had to be so explicit about the common sense, but it is a sort of common sense. If a child is misbehaving in recess and is creating a safety issue for other kids, then clearly that has to be addressed, and one appropriate measure could be taking away recess. The other piece is, I know some folks are concerned about the fact that we don't have a lot of time for interventions, and that is a time that is used for academic interventions. And my feeling is, I'm sort of okay with that as long as it's something that the parent really understands. And I'm not okay with with recess being taken away for like the whole group, because Josh and Kristen were misbehaving, so the whole group stays in. So what I've done is I've started talking to the elementary principals about it, and we've sent out another email saying that there is still a certain amount of common sense and principal discretion involved in when it would be appropriate. But there is a really high standard for what appropriate application of that concept of taking away recess for disciplinary purposes would be. But it can't be a zero. There's no absolutes in anything, right? There's no absolutes. I've also, and I said this to folks there, I keep saying, I've never met a great elementary principal or a great elementary teacher who regularly uses the taking away recess as a disciplinary measure. But we got to allow for some, some common sense in there. And parents need to know, most importantly, parents need to know what the deal is, so that if your kid comes home and says they need a recess, you already have been informed that that may be something that's used in certain kinds of circumstances for certain reasons, but it's not just willy-nilly teacher, saying no recess today because, that's unacceptable. And most folks aren't doing that. There are seats up here, guys. Yeah.